Walk into any store in 2026 and every television on the wall looks incredible. That is exactly the problem. They are all bright, they are all 4K, they all look stunning under the showroom lights for the 90 seconds you stand in front of them. And a lot of them will quietly let you down in 3 or 4 years, long before you plan to spend that kind of money again. So today, I am cutting through all of it. Out of the hundreds of televisions on sale right now, these are the only 6 I would actually spend my own money on in 2026, ranked from the one that is simply a great buy up to the single smartest television you can put your money on this year. Not the ones with the best marketing, the ones that give you the most great picture for your dollar and still look brilliant years from now. Let's count them down. Number 6, the flagship, for the person who wants the best and does not care what it costs, the Sony Bravia 9. This is Sony's top mini LED, and it is a genuinely spectacular television. Blindingly bright, hundreds of dimming zones, and the one thing Sony still does better than anyone, the processing, the part of the set that decides how natural everything looks a decade later. It runs under $3,000 for the 65-inch, and yes, that is a lot of money. So why is it only number 6 on a list of the best buys? Because this is a value ranking, not a bragging rights ranking. You are paying a steep premium for the last few percent of quality that most people, in most rooms, will never actually notice. It cannot burn in because it is backlit, and it will almost certainly outlast everything else on this list. Buy it if money is genuinely no object, and you want the set that ages the most gracefully of anything sold today. Skip it if you are watching your dollars, because 4 of the televisions further up this list give you 90% of this picture for a fraction of the price. A magnificent television, just not the smart buy. And real quick, because it decides who I am talking to for the rest of this list. If you hate overpaying for tech the way I do, hit the like button. It genuinely pushes this to the next person about to gamble $1,000 on the wrong set. And subscribe for honest reviews where I take money from none of these brands. And I am genuinely curious, so tell me in the comments, what television are you running right now, and how many years has it lasted you so far? The answers always surprise me, and every TV I name today is linked right below with its current price, so you can check any of them in a tap. Number 5, the best television you can buy for a bright room, full stop. The Samsung QM7K. If your living room has big windows or the sun pours in during the day, this is the one. It is a mini LED that goes searingly bright, so it punches straight through glare that would leave a darker television looking washed out and flat. And it pairs that brightness with a genuinely good anti-glare screen, so the window behind you does not turn into a mirror in the middle of the afternoon. There are 2 more reasons it earns its spot. Samsung's object tracking sound actually moves the audio around to follow the action on screen, which sounds like a gimmick until you hear a car cross from one side to the other, and it means the built-in speakers are better than most. And the software gets updates for 7 years. That is not a small thing. It is the difference between a smart system that still feels fast and supported most of the way through the television's life, and one a brand quietly abandons after 2. Because it is backlit, there is no burn-in to ever worry about. You can find the 65-inch under $1,500, and often a good deal less on sale, which makes it a far smarter buy than the flagship for the vast majority of real rooms. Buy it if your television lives in a bright space, or you watch a lot of daytime sports and news, and you want brightness, longevity, and long support without paying flagship money. Skip it only if your room is dark and you mostly watch films at night, because in that exact situation, the next television on this list will look even better for similar money. Number 4, the one to buy if your room is dark and you love a good film, the LG C5 OLED. Now, everything before this has been mini LED, and here is where I have to be straight with you, because this is the one television on the list that works differently, and it comes with a genuine trade-off. An OLED lights up every single pixel on its own, which gives you perfect, absolute black, the kind a backlit set can only chase. In a dark room, watching a movie, the darkness on the screen is the darkness of your room, and the picture seems to float with nothing holding it back. Nothing on this list looks better in that setting. It is breathtaking. It is a superb gaming television with the fast panel and the ports a modern console wants, and LG's smart system is one of the smoother ones to actually live with day to day. But an OLED can, over many years, develop burn-in, where a station logo or a news ticker you leave on the screen for hours every single day slowly ghosts itself into the panel. For most people who watch a normal mix of content, that will simply never happen. And the C5 has strong protections built in, including a pixel refresh cycle that runs quietly overnight to even out any wear. But if you are someone who leaves one bright news channel on 12 hours a day, this is not your set, and I would send you straight back to the Samsung. You can get the 65-inch C5 under $1,500 now, which for this picture quality is genuinely remarkable. Buy it for a dark, movie-first room where you watch varied content. Skip it if you are a news all-day viewer or if your room fights a lot of light. Quick one while it is fresh, and I want your honest answer. Of everything on this list so far, which one would you actually put your money on? And what is the oldest television still running in your house right now? Drop it below. The stories in those answers teach more than any lab test ever could. And one thing that matters more than almost anything else on this list, that people get wrong constantly: the size. The number one regret I hear is never about the brand. It is buying a screen too small for the room and never quite enjoying it. Or buying one so big it is tiring to watch from the couch. For most living rooms, 65 inches is the sweet spot. If you sit further back, or you want that proper cinema feel, 75 or even 85 inches is glorious. And here is the good news. Every single television on this list comes in those big sizes. And it is exactly at 75 and 85 inches that the value brands crush the premium names the hardest. Because a giant, genuinely good picture from Hisense or TCL costs a fraction of what the same size flagship does. So do not be shy about going big. Just match the screen to how far back you actually sit, and you will love it for years. Number 3, the sweet spot where most of you should honestly be shopping, because the jump in quality from a cheap set is far bigger than the jump in price. The TCL QM7K and its twin rival, the Hisense U7, both landing right around $1,000. These are proper mini LED televisions with far more dimming zones than the budget sets. And that is the real number that decides how deep the blacks go and how close a mini LED gets to that OLED look. More zones mean the set can keep a bright object bright, while the dark right next to it stays genuinely dark, instead of washing a gray halo around it. They are brighter, punchier, more three-dimensional than anything under them. They carry the fast panels and low lag a gamer wants if there are grandkids with a console in the house, and because they are backlit, they will take a decade of hard, everyday use without a single worry about burn-in. The fight between these two is genuinely close. The Hisense U7 usually runs a touch brighter and a little cheaper, so lean that way for a bright room. The TCL QM7K handles motion and its dimming a touch more cleanly, so lean that way for a darker movie room. Either one is a television that would have cost $2,000 3 years ago. Buy one of these if you want the vast majority of a flagship picture for half of flagship money. Because nobody in a normal living room needs to spend more than this to be genuinely thrilled. Now, before the top 2, 30 seconds on the thing that actually decides whether any television on this list survives 10 years. Because it is not the brand on the front. Every set I have named so far is a real mini LED or OLED built properly. And here is the honest truth about how modern televisions die. It is almost never the screen itself. On a cheap set, the part that fails first is the power board or the backlight driver, the invisible components inside that were built down to a price. That is exactly why the stripped-out bargain bin televisions sitting 2 feet away from these in the store are a trap. They look identical on the wall, they cost a couple hundred less, and they are the ones most likely to develop dim patches and a wheezing, frozen smart system by year 2 or 3. So a few rules protect you no matter which of these you pick. Buy the real mini LED or OLED set, never the mystery cheap box next to it. Buy from a store with a real return window, so a rare bad unit becomes an easy exchange instead of a fight. Give the set a few inches of breathing room behind it, because heat is what tires those internal parts out early. And put it on a surge protector, because a single power spike can kill a television that would otherwise have run for 15 years. Do those small things and the panel will outlive the software. And here is something worth saying plainly, because I hear it constantly. When a television gets old, the picture is almost always still perfectly fine. What goes first is the smart system. The menus start to lag, the apps take forever to open, and watching your own television slowly starts to feel like work. That is not the screen dying. That is the software aging. And it is the single most common reason people throw out a perfectly good panel years too early. So do not let a slow menu fool you. If the smart system ever starts to crawl, a $40 streaming stick and a spare input makes the whole thing feel brand new again. And the television carries on for years. You are not at the mercy of the badge. You just have to buy the right set and treat it right. Number 2. The smartest few $100s you can spend on a television, period. The Hisense U6, with the TCL QM6K right beside it. For around $500, and the TCL usually under $700, these give you a real quantum dot mini LED with actual local dimming, meaning the set can control light and dark across the screen instead of glowing an even, flat gray the way the truly cheap televisions do. That is a genuinely good, bright, durable picture that would have cost you $1,500 just 4 or 5 years ago. The value at the bottom of the market has been completely rewritten, and these two brands are the reason why. No burn-in, a picture that punches far above the price, and enough set to keep a normal family happy for years. This is the television I point people to when they tell me they only have a few $100s and they are terrified of wasting it. You are not wasting it here. It is also the perfect second set for a bedroom or a guest room, where you want a genuinely good picture without spending flagship money on a screen you watch an hour a day. The only reason it is not number 1 is that the set above it is simply a bigger leap for the money. But if your budget is tight, this is not a compromise. It is the smart money. Buy it and do not look back. Just make sure the box actually says mini LED or quantum dot on it, because the trap I warned you about lives right here at this exact price. And number 1, the single smartest television you can buy in all of 2026, the Hisense U8QG. This is the set that breaks the whole pricing logic of the television market, and it is why it wins. It is an eye-searingly bright, deeply controlled mini LED with hundreds and hundreds of dimming zones. A television that reviewers put head-to-head against flagships costing $1,000 more and genuinely struggle to separate. And you can buy the 65-inch under $1,500, often for around $1,000 when it goes on sale. Think about what that actually means. You are getting 95% of that $3,000 Sony from number 6 for roughly a third of the price. It cannot burn in because it is backlit. Its record in long-term reliability testing has been genuinely strong, which is exactly what you want to hear about the set you are trusting for the next decade. It is a brilliant gaming television, with everything a modern console needs. And here is where it truly embarrasses the premium names. Step up to 75 or even 85 inches, and the U8QG gives you an enormous, genuinely excellent screen for a fraction of what a flagship that size would cost. For a lot of you, that is the real dream. A huge picture that does not require a huge loan. And going into the autumn and the holiday sales, this is exactly the set to keep your eye on. Because when it drops toward $1,000, there is simply nothing on the market that touches it for the money. It delivers the one thing this whole channel is built on, the most great, lasting television per dollar that money can buy right now. If this list saved you from overpaying, that is your cue to hit that like button. For almost everyone watching, in almost every room, the Hisense U8QG is the television I would put my own money on this year. Full stop. So before you go and buy any one of these, 3 quick checks that take 30 seconds and save you from the 2 ways people still get burned. First, search the exact model code, letter for letter, before you pay. Because these brands run similar-looking names across very different sets, and last year's model at a not quite clearance price can look like a deal and is not. Second, confirm the box actually says Mini LED, or in the LG's case, OLED, and not just a suspiciously low price, because that is how the stripped-out cheap line sneaks into your cart. And third, buy it somewhere with a real return window, so if you draw a rare bad unit, it is an easy swap instead of a months-long fight. 30 seconds of checking is the difference between the set you love for a decade and the one you regret by spring. So there is the whole list. If money is no object, the Sony Bravia 9 at number 6 ages the best. For a bright room, the Samsung QM7K. For a dark movie room, the LG C5 OLED. The mid-tier sweet spot is the TCL QM7K or the Hisense U7. The budget hero is the Hisense U6, and the smartest buy of the entire year, the one that gives you flagship picture for value money and still looks brilliant years from now, is the Hisense U8QG. Every one of these is a real television built to last, if, and only if, you buy the proper set and skip the stripped-out cheap lines hiding right next to them. Because here is the truth the big brands would rather you never sit with. The most expensive television in the store is almost never the one that gives you the most life per dollar. These 6 proved it. Buy the right one from a store that stands behind it, and you walk out with years of great picture for the price the premium names charge for a badge. So tell me, before you shop, which one on this list is going home with you? And which television finally died on you that sent you looking today? Drop it below, and next time, I am putting the 2 premium giants head-to-head, LG versus Samsung, to find out which flagship actually earns its price. Hit subscribe so it finds you, and I will see you then.